Hello, welcome along to our 2020 Carlow Senior Football Championship Final Special. Sounds weird to be saying that in 2021, but such are the times. This is where we are, and it's all in association with Auto Imaging Carlow, and we thank Simon and the lads there for looking after us with this. If you're after Renault or Dacia or whatever, Simon and the lads are the people to go to. So again, thanks a million for that. With Turlough O'Brien here to preview all the action, former Carlow Senior Football Manager. I'm still kind of getting used to that term. Have you gotten used to it over the last year and a half? And if so, what have you been up to, I suppose, replace all that time that you gave over that period?
Yeah, no, I've got used to it all right. It was a strange year. I'm glad I wasn't involved in football because with COVID, it was very difficult for all management teams at club and county level to prepare teams and adhere to protocols, and the frustration involved must be enormous, you know. So I was kind of relieved that I wasn't involved. And look, I needed a break away from it, quite honest with you. It takes a lot out of you. I was at it for 6 years with the county team and for many, many years before that with club teams. And so it was nice to get a break and get away from it and get a bit of time to ourselves.
Yeah, and temptation would have been at your doorstep, I would say, quite frequently over the last 12 months, but you were happy enough to say no for now. Is that hunger going to come back, you think, at some stage, or do you have an ambition maybe in the next couple of years to get back going again with some club maybe?
Well, initially I would have said definitely no. Definitely I had my fill of it, you know. But recent months, I suppose, yeah, you're beginning to feel the long evenings came in there and footballers are turning and they're saying, gee, you'd love to go to the field tonight, you know. But I'm not sure I'm ready even to give that commitment, to be honest with you, because it is a huge commitment. It's becoming more and more every year, club and county level, you know. So, look, sure, I never say no, but I at this stage I say probably not.
And you're out on the bike a little bit anyway. It is a crazy kind of an endeavour there last week, but it was on your bucket list and you went off and did it. So, Malin to Mizzen. That's
right, yeah. I've been thinking about doing this for a long, long time. And with COVID, we were all restricted, obviously, to, 2K limits and 5K limits and all of that, like, for a long time. And so I was mad to get out and get going again and want to do a bit of travelling, I suppose. But wanted to do it in a way that was, I suppose, COVID-friendly, away from people, and doing it on the bike was probably the best thing I could do. So myself and Mary, we went up to Malin Head on last Friday week. Ronan dropped us up, and we headed south for Missing Head in Cork. We had a great cycle altogether, absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, took in some nice scenery, and you stayed away from the urban areas. You took in those kind of hidden gems that there's probably some things there you didn't even realise was on the route, and the next thing you discovered, and you're like, geez, we'll know about it the next time, like.
Yeah, well, we deliberately went on the local roads, the back roads. There's a fantastic network of local roads right through the country that are underutilised and perfectly safe to cycle on. The regional roads, the national roads they're no go for me anyway. I certainly wouldn't be very, very comfortable cycling on them. So I put a good bit of work into planning the route, but I wanted to go down through the non-tourist areas, really, you know. So we set off anyway, and we had some I suppose, some great sites we had, that are off the beaten track. And the beauty of the bike is that you can stop whenever you want, and you see things you don't see when you're in a car. You also get to get a good feel for the countryside. Every hill in the country, I can tell you by the time you're finished. In the car, you just glide over, you don't realise how hilly it is, but on the bike it's a different story, but it's all great fun.
Good stuff. Right. Well, let's get into the football. So, the final we've been waiting for quite some time. But before we kind of go and look at that one, Turlough, we did have a couple of other finals last weekend. We had the junior football final between Turlough and Tinryland, and we had the intermediate football final between Carlow and Donegal and Ballynarana. So, to contextualise, we're talking for years about the need for Turlough to be playing at a higher grade, and nobody knows that more than Turlough, which probably added to the weight of expectation and pressure in the final on Saturday. So I sat down and watched this. I think it was a Monday or Tuesday, and Turlough were quite good in the first half. Kickouts were going very well, and then they lost their way a little bit in the second half. So in this kind of mad period then, which we're about to show you, I think this is where the game was won and lost. So we'll just introduce this here onto the stream, and we'll kind of talk through it. So this is Tinryland on the attack. It is the 21st minute. of the second half. Then he fired with a goal shot, saved by James Tobin, and the ball then makes its way down to the far end of the field, literally from this play, and Will Canavan looks to send one cross field. Initially, Tinryland get a hand on it. Greg Murphy, I think, breaks it across to Ronan Corrin, and poor old Henry Farrell, I think we're bullying him here now, but we're not. It's just a simple error again. He just doesn't attack the ball, basically. Turlough get a turnover on it. We have a brief kind of lapse in play for a moment. In fairness, the Farrelly tries to redeem himself, but Turlough win the free. They take it quickly. A nice little knee pass into the corner here again will ensue from Jack Kennedy, and it's with TJ Kavanagh, I think, in the end, who slots it over beautifully off the left foot. So at this point, you're thinking, right, that's not much of a swing initially. There's only a point in it now. But this is where it all kind of changes again. So Paul Doyle, in a moment's time, will take this kick out. We'll just speed it up here a little bit, actually, just to bring ourselves on. And in fairness, like, let's be honest about it, it's not a wonderful kick out. Turlough intercepted, and straight away they're on it. They sense the goal. As Kavanagh again feeds it inside to Owen O'Toole, and then into Jack Kavanagh. Jack Kennedy, I should say. Typical three-man weave and a beautiful little finish. And we'll just hold on to it now for a sec, because we are going to have a look at the second goal, which came, I think, a couple of minutes before full time. And it's Jack Kennedy again involved, the talisman. Tudor brilliantly goes inside, and there you have it, bang, back in the net. And as you can see from Tudor's celebration, it does mean quite a lot to him and quite a lot to Turlough. So look, there you have it. That's essentially the story of that one. I honestly think that 2-minute period is where it was won and lost. But your thoughts on what you just saw there?
Yeah, well, look, it's junior final. You know, you're going to get mistakes at that level of football, and it was a very competitive game. Obviously, 2-10 to 12 into the final score there. It's great to see Turlough winning a title. You know, winning a cup. It's really, really important for Carlow that Turlough restores itself to its former status as a senior club as soon as possible. It's a big town in the county, and we need a strong GA club in Turlough. And there's been a lot of really, really good work going on in Turlough for the last couple of years now in the background there. A lot of really, really positive work on and off the field, and you have to commend them for it. So let's hope that they can keep that work going and the lads can keep improving. But the clip you showed there, yeah, it was, as I said, junior football. It was typical junior football. There were a few mistakes in it. Probably Tinryland should have taken a point from that goal chance. It was a bit ambitious maybe to go for goal from there, maybe with so many players in front. And the game, you could say, hinged on that then. The ball went on the far end, they got a point. And, you know, in Jack Kennedy, then Owen O'Toole, you two great finishers for Turlough. Like, they're two smart guys in front of goal. Jack was one of the top scorers at club level for a good number of years. He's a great eye for score. Delighted for Jack. And Owen O'Toole, he just loves banging the ball back at the net, like, you know. So, as you can see there, he was delighted. But, look, fair play to Turlough. It's a great win for them. For Tinryland to be disappointed, but look, it's not their first team, and you like to win every game you go out, like, but being realistic about it, it's a better result for football that Turlough won it. Yeah,
like, and there's 2 points I'm going to make. The first thing we kind of left out of the highlights there, Tinryland did have a penalty actually early in the second half, which didn't get converted, which again was possibly a turning point in it. But on the second thing I was just about to say, and you kind of touched on it there, from my point of view anyway, and I think most people out there would agree, Carlow needs Turlough more than Tinryland's second team, or any second team for that matter, to be playing higher up in grades.
Yeah. Look,
simple as.
It's great to see the improving situation in Bagmastown with Bagmastown Gales there. That's one town that you hope is going in the right direction. And if we can get Turlough going in the same direction, we'll have a stronger club seat in Carlow. We really need it. We really do need that. And you know, it's all this is feeding into your county team's performances afterwards. You have to have good club competitions, and the two towns must produce more footballers. They must be more competitive. So I think for the county's sake, it's a good result. The Tinryland lads can still aspire to play senior football with their first team, you know, so they still have that ahead of them, you know. And I know there's great work going into Tinryland at the moment. There's a huge response there. Steve Lamar is getting a great turnout for training and that, like, so it'll be interesting to see how they perform in the 2021 Senior Championship. Yeah.
Could Turlough potentially be, I suppose, the first team to get back-to-back promotions within the space of, I don't know, something like 2 or 3 months? Like, is it realistic for them to actually get a double bounce here now, do you think?
It's hard to say. Like, you know, you look at Callavan, like, they've been in 2 finals and lost 2 finals. It's very hard on them. They're every chance you get momentum from winning, and I'm sure there's a great buzz in Tull at the moment after winning the title. So, there will be a bounce, and momentum is massive in football. It's massive in football. And with the condensed championships as well, that team of momentum can really achieve an awful lot in a period of weeks, So it's definitely there. It's definitely there for them to contest it.
It'll be some story, it'll be a real pub quiz question for years to come. Who got promoted? Was it twice in the 1 year, kind of York, But anyway, we'll move on to the next game, of course, which was the Intermediate Football Championship Final. It was the game after the one we just saw, and it was Ballinabranna versus Callavan in that one. So this is David Cox, feeds Ben Dorgan. Cox is very good, actually, in the whole game. I think he might have got one of the match. Dorgan, after filling out massively, James Keogh, in the shape of his life, feeds the ball inside to Darren Nunny, and this is a beautiful finish now, I have to say. He just finds the bottom right-hand corner of the net, and when he gets in there a goal, he is a very, very good finisher. Very good off that left foot, and has been for a long time. So here's Cox involved again. This is Ballinabranna's second goal. Again, he goes central to Jimmy Cal to Big Samo, across to Dorgan, and this is a very good finish down the bottom left-hand corner. Ronan Brennan is not saving that. So great composure. And at this point, 2-7 to 3 points, you think Ballinabranna are very much in control. But just before half-time then, as we're about to see in a few moments' time, Callavan do get a bit of a lifeline. So Niall Hickey here with the line ball pushes James Keogh out of the way, actually, which you'll see him getting tick over direct in a few minutes' time. Nice little ball in over the top. It's Hickey again who ends up with it, feeds Owen Roberts, and again, this is very good composure. There's a lot of Ballinabranna lads around him, but he slots it away nice into the bottom corner. So that's a bit of a lifeline Callavan needed. So at half-time, Killian Redmond comes into the game, and Daniel Saledra comes on a little bit after. Pádraig Hickey is just in as well. And this is Redmond going to the clouds and takes a ball, right? So off he goes over to his cousin, Mr. St. Ledger, which was great to see him play. There was big question marks. Was he going to play? Was he not going to play? Nice little ball in over the top. And this is a great advantage by the referee, I have to say, because the penalty should have been given, but he let it go, and Joe Roberts slots it home. All of a sudden, a 6-point game. So we skip on now. This is just 2 minutes left. Ballinabranna still 7 points up at this point, but Ledger again involved, switches it across, and it's a little bit sloppy. There's a lot of Ballinabranna lads around. Joe Roberts did well to get a shot off, but there's a flurry of deflections there. And Ballinabranna now, this really is squeaky bum time, because I think in the end it was only a couple of points in it. We'll take that off the stream. Literally a couple of points in it, and Callavan were laying siege on that goal. So, from my point of view, what I felt there was, if the boys were in a position to start, Killian Redmond and Daniel, I know Daniel has had his struggles, unfortunately, and it was, as I say, great to see him play. It's possibly a game changer in that one. But Ballinabranna just had enough done in that first half, and had enough done to hold on. Yeah, look, there's no doubt Daniel St. Ledger has been one of the great servants of Carlow football for 10, 12 years now, and top-class footballer. But, he's had a few problems there, serious problems there with concussion in a number of games in the last couple of years, and he has to be very mindful of his health, So I wasn't expecting him to take any part in the game, to be honest with you. And he probably... Nor was I, actually. No.
Yeah, he probably came in to give a dig out there when the game was probably in the melting pot. Killian is a much younger man, and he has outstanding ability. I mean, you saw that jump he made there for that catch from the kick out. I'd love to see that fella being committed to Gaelic football first, but obviously rugby is the number one game at the moment, and until that changes, it's always going to be a situation that he's not going to be probably a starter for Callavan. That's the reality of it. You have to be fair to everybody. But he's certainly county material. You would love to see him, commit to football, but Callavan have to play with take a handset to have, they have to feel very sorry for those 2 finals in a row they've lost now, and probably gave the opposition too big a lead, had to fight the game and just didn't run out of time really, and for a small area, those occasions don't come around too often, and it's important you don't freeze on the day. A good start is very important, but it was a great game by all accounts, a high-scoring game, and it could have gone either way. Ballinabranna, they're the club that's up and down there for the last few years, and we need to be a championship, play senior for a year, then go back down, and they really need to get consistent run at senior level to progress. But to have some good young players coming through there, and young Ben Dorgan has really developed into a physically imposing player. He has football in him, but again, he needs to knuckle down now to Gaelic football, and he gets the chance with the county. He needs to get in there and commit to it, because he could be a really, really good county player. It's in a county like Carlow, we're after naming off two really well-conditioned guys with size, with pace, and power. They're the kind of players you need for inter-county football now. Killian Redmond and Ben Dorgan would be two, really, really good addition to a county panel if you could have them. But we'll have to wait and see.
We will indeed. So I just need to confirm that I know, obviously, Ballyrun are gone up now. We've 9 teams, don't we, per grade? Am I right in saying this for this year's championship?
Yeah, I don't think there was any relegation.
There was no relegation, so we must have 9. I don't know what the agreed format has been for this year. I'd like to see that go to 10 and not let a team down again. I think it's a good number, actually, because you mentioned Ballyrun, and that's a very good example. They've yo-yo quite a bit, but if that goes to 10, I'm not quite sure the same team is going up and down. Maybe, might still happen, not saying that, but it gives a better chance kind of for teams to go up and maybe stay up for a year or two. And that might keep them up for year 3, year 4, year 5. Yeah. It's probably similar enough to the inter-county hurling scene in some ways, where the thought process now is to expand a little bit. It's something that I think might work.
Absolutely agree with you 100%, because look, there's a big issue here with competition structures in Carlow at the moment in football. Absolutely very disappointed with how things have panned out with regard to the football leagues and the championship. And I really think a root and branch look at what we're doing here, because we are not promoting club football properly in the county. There's no question of it. I mean, the league was split in 2 this year. I know COVID's a factor, but it's less games we're giving our players instead of more games. I don't know why it's going on, but we need our footballers playing more football, more games, more competitive games than training, and having so few teams in the senior championship doesn't help. Whether that means that you add in 2 intermediate teams or whatever to bring up the numbers, or you look at some area teams maybe coming together in senior football championship to give a greater spread of real competitors, real contenders for the title. There's a lot of players out there, in my opinion, playing with intermediate clubs, junior clubs, that they'll never get the opportunity to play senior football, but they might in an area team. And some of the senior clubs that are playing senior one are there for, they're there nearly every year, but they haven't won a title in a long time, or very rarely win a title. Well, they could be improved by the addition of 2 or 3 players from a neighbouring club. Why wouldn't we give it a go? If improve football, if it's going to create, greater competition in the senior championship, if it's going to give more players opportunity to play senior football, I think it has to be considered. And I think clubs really need to, they really need to put their traditions behind them and in the past, and think about now. Think about the players they have now. Think about the future. What's the future for the game in the county? What's the future of their own club? What benefit is it to players to be playing so few games as we are at the moment? I can't understand the mentality where the football clubs have acquiesced to this structure that we have at the moment. I really can't understand it. If you look at most successful inter-county teams, have very, very good club competition. We've had quite good competition in the past. Our senior club title holders usually do fairly well in provincial championship, but we need a senior football league, intermediate football league, which is a promotion relegation. We need probably home and away games, so you're having double the amount of games. You have something to fight for. Instead, we have teams withdrawing from the senior football league, and not playing at all. Now, I know there's June club situations there which affects that, but it can't be acceptable that you're playing senior football and not playing the senior league. It just can't be. You must adjust your competition to make sure that all your senior teams are playing in the league, or they're not playing senior football. That's my opinion.
Yeah, well, that's fair. And I think there's a lot of merit in all those things you just said there. And just going back to the 10-team point, there's any other way, or any amount of ways, I should say, that you can run that off. So format-wise, with the 10, if you want to make it as simple as 1 plays 2 and 2 plays 1 for semi-finals, make number 3 safe, and have 4 play 5 and 5 play 4 in the 2 groups for relegation semis, fair enough. If you want to have 2 teams safe, Team 3 and Team 4 in each group, fair enough. And then just put relegation between the bottom place teams in either group. Like, I actually think it would be a big benefit. And also, just on your area team, I'll go on record as saying this now, right? And there's lads in the 3 clubs now that would totally disagree with this. I'd love to see, and I won't work now because Ballinrana or Loughlin are both senior. I'd love to see the 3 out Michael Davis together, like. And it'll only ever happen, it probably won't ever happen anyway, but the only chance it would have is if all 3 were outside senior for a prolonged period of time, which I don't think would happen, but the strength, like, and then you go over to in around, we said, the Ballin area, and take in those 3 or 4 clubs in that area. There's a very strong senior side. All these things could work if there's honest conversation and communication. It has to work with that. Pig-headedness doesn't wash. It won't work with that. That's literally a stumbling block everywhere.
Yeah, but I suppose, look, they have to want it. That's the bottom line, and they have to be open to discussion about it anyway, at least. And you can't convince people to do this. They've got to come up with it themselves. And, you take the Ballinrana or Loughlin situation where they both actually have senior status.
They do. So that won't happen now. But it won't always be that way.
There probably should be some mechanism where a team that's promoted isn't relegated automatically next year. There should be some way to give a team at least 2 years in a higher grade. Look at it. Just need to be looked at. You need to get a situation where all your senior championship games are going to be competitive. That you're not going to have dead rubber games towards the end of it. That's really important. That they all mean something. Whether it's promotion, it's relegation, it's in contention for a semi-final spot, or as I said, to avoid relegation. But you should very few teams in the middle with nothing to play for. That's what you want to avoid.
Yeah, our parish is an enigma anyway, because it's good enough for everyone to hurl together, but it's not good enough for everyone to play football together. Like, I couldn't believe this. Like, I can't believe it for years at this stage. Like, you go and knock the shite out of someone in a football match, and the next night you go train with them. Like, where would you get it? Like, it's just nuts. But anyway, we might move on, because we'll be on this all day, and I do hope something changes for the positive anyway. And as long as it's forward thinking, we have those people involved, then we will go somewhere. But those people have to be involved. That's the crucial thing, and they have to want it, as you say. So that's what have we got next here now? Let me just see what I have loaded up. We're going to move on to the senior semi-finals, right? So the first of these was Pal and Rathvilly. So we'll just get ready to show it here, and away we go. It's a short little segment here. Jesus, she's gone on me. Hold on. Now, there we go. So I'll just wind it back to the start again for the purposes of it. It's a goal either side of half time. That's all we've isolated, which is probably not the be all and end all of the game, because it was tight after the second goal. It was tight after the first goal. But this is Gavin Healy, who plays one across to David Reid, most unorthodox left foot in football, I'd say. Andrew Keogh on side, and again, great finish. Actually, some very good finishing across these 3 games so far, and you'll see in the Eire Og games the same. This is Brendan Murphy, literally straight from the second half. I don't know where Carlow was going, to be honest with you. I don't know, was he just literally going back to the goal at that point? But he was really caught off guard. I'll just skip this back again for anyone who didn't catch it. So if you look where Craig is, he's over here on the left-hand side. I'm not sure what's happening, but unfortunately, he palms it down to Kevin Murphy, and it's a good opportunistic finish, it has to be said. And this guy impressed a lot of people over the weekend. That brought the game back level. So Rathvilly, to put, I suppose, context on it then, like, they are a very much improved side, I would say. Obviously, they won the league, so they've done some bit of improving, but they have a great balance from what I could see the other day. They definitely come on, and it'll sound crazy now what I'm about to say, but I'm actually happier Rathvilly won it, because I think we'll get a greater contest in the county final because of it. I just think they're that little bit stronger. Josh Moore at centre back, Conor Doyle at wing back. Again, that's 2 big lads across the half back line. Conor, despite being very big and strong, is quite mobile. The lads around the middle, Brendan and Ed, are around a long time. Alan Kelly's around a long time. Darren Murphy, a big unit there again, a centre forward. Brian Murphy, like, do you know what can we say about Brian Murphy that hasn't been said already? And now there's Kevin Murphy, chap, who finished some great scores the other day. I like the look at him. What do you think?
Well, I tell you, that game, Paladin had to win in the first half in that game, and I thought they were very...
Sorry, just before you go on a bit further, the first 25 minutes was shite. I have to be honest about it. There's no other way of putting it. It was brutal. But thankfully, it did up it, like, you know.
They had to win, but they were very reluctant to go forward. They were very slow in their build-up. And Rathvilly played a better football, in my opinion, right through the game. The goal, though, that Rathvilly conceded there just before half-time was a shocker. I mean, there was nobody marking Andy Kyoto. If you look at that clip, he's on his own, you know, in the danger area. Absolutely nobody near him, and he had the easiest of tasks just to pick up the ball, and he did finish it well. But it was a real giveaway goal by Rathvilly. You know, there's no point in having lads back if you're not going to pick up men. So I suppose there's a lesson there in that for them. The second goal obviously was, unfortunately, Craig tried to stop a point, and in doing so, he conceded a goal. You know, he's been a great servant for Palatine and Carlow. I wouldn't hone in on that mistake too greatly. But Rathvilly were the better side. They were more energetic, better balanced, as I said. I like to look at them. I thought they played quite well, and I thought they were by far the better team on the day. I think Paladin are struggling. Conor Crowley was a big loss to them. The best young footballer seen around a while, though, Hugh McMahon, who wasn't eligible for this. Now, he might be eligible for the 2021 championship. May use him for that. He's going to be a good talent, a good prospect for Palatine. But yeah, I like to look at Rathvilly now. They looked like a team that has got some self-belief back through winning the league final. And, you know, Tony Bulger didn't play. He'll be back. He's only 42. But he's in incredible shape, so he is.
I think he's 22.
He's start the county final, you know. He's a great servant. Look, yeah, I think Rathvilly are in a good place. They had Brendan back, obviously. We didn't have him for the league final, and he's, you know, I mean, Brendan Murphy is just, you know, he's one of those players, once in a generation player, really, like, you know, big, strong guy. Mind you, some people feel Rathvilly sometimes play better without him, but I disagree. I just think that he has so much ball winning capability, and if he has a weakness, he probably tries to do too much. Look, I think it gives him great ball winning around the middle of the field. There's going to be a huge contest in the middle of the field. Middle and third, obviously, in this game is going to be massive. And Rathvilly have every chance there of competing very, very well. That size, the pace, and experience around that area. So, look, it's going to be very interesting. The other semi-final with Eire Og and Rangers was a massive disappointment, you know.
Right, so let's look at this then, Turlough. It's a pretty good time to start showing it. Right, so I'll introduce it here to the stream, and away we go. So this for me, right, context here first. I'm just going to pause it for a second. Rangers have just missed 2 point score opportunities to bring it back level, but during the first half, Eire Og kicked a shocker on the wide, so let's put a bit of balance on it. However, for me, I'd like to take you, or get you to have a close look at this now. Is that free? And I'll wind it back again.
I don't think so, no.
It's probably bordering. At the time, I thought it possibly was. So I'm just looking at Adam Murphy here, right? So let's look at Adam Murphy. Right, so going down the ball isn't, but does Murphy come in and clatter him, or is it just a bump?
I don't see any foul there.
So the reason I ask is this happens because of it, and this literally is the beginning of the end for Rangers. So a lovely little sweep and move and a great finish from Chris Blake, and it was Gavin was obviously involved in the build up there as well. But for me at this particular juncture, like I think Eire Og were always going to win this game and push on, but it was at a very, very crucial time. If that free goes the other way, Rangers get another score. I don't know if Eire Og win by as much. I'm not going to say they're not going to win, but it was there's a bit of a swing in it. But look, it's you don't think it was a free anyway, 100%.
No, I don't think it was free. No, absolutely not. No, I mean, there's a legitimate contest for the ball, and I won it. And I don't. And to me, it's absolutely no issue with that.
Right. Look, so here's the second one. We'll just skip on to it. And Owen Root, there's no way. Owen Root will tell you now he meant to pass this, right? This is definitely an attempt for a point. And Gannon is lurking in around the goal. and does ever so well. Now, there's 4 Rangers lads, I think, in the end that get in around him. And it's a great finish. But should Rangers do a little bit better there? I'll just wind it back again. Watch now. So there's going to be 3 coming in, and Paul Cody's on the way back as well, yeah?
Yeah, look, absolutely. And to me, that goal is the one really that really buried Rangers that day, because they did have men around it. It should have been stopped.
Mm-hmm.
It was a terrific finish nonetheless, left-footed finish.
So third goal then coming up, Turlough. This is Colin Hulton in the end. Generous on the steps from Gannon plays him in. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Maybe it's just 6. But anyway, look, good finish. Good finish.
Yeah, this thing with the steps is probably, it's a hard one for referees, because in real time, a player gives a sidestep, and it's hard to count the steps when that happens. Maybe he could be onside or whatever. So there's multiple chances in a game where there's going to be 5 or 6 steps taken, and some days they'll be blown, other days there won't be. But the story of the game was Rangers started very well, got 3 points on the board, and then Eire Og gradually kind of reeled them back in and got back into the game without ever setting the game alight. Turned on the second half, then a couple of goals, and Rangers gave up. That's their story of the game, to give up. That's the reality of it. There was no contest in the second half, and I was very disappointed with Rangers. As a result, it's very hard to say how well Eire Og actually played. On the first half performance, to say no, they weren't great. Second half, I'd say this is cracking scoring from Eire Og, but as I say, Rangers threw in the towel, and 3-19 was a huge score to concede. They'll be, I'm sure, their heads were gone to hurling championship at that stage after the second goal, I'd say, and that was that, so they're probably mind themselves for that. I don't think they had a whole lot of preparation done for it anyway in terms of football. Certainly hadn't played any senior football league games anyway, so it's very difficult to, take on Eire Og and beat them if you're not playing much football, really. They should grind you down. Eire Og would be as physical a team in football as Rangers would be in hurling. They're 2 big imposing teams, and playing more football would give them a huge advantage. There's no doubt when Rangers put their minds down to it, they can be very, very competitive. But I just felt that, last week they just threw in the towel and moved on to the hurling in their own minds, So as a result, anyway, Eire Og in the final with an easy win, and you're saying it's going to be, far too strong for Rathvilly, but I don't see it playing out that way.
Right, so I'm just going to jump back in slightly on Rangers before we go to the county final. So for me, the most disappointing aspect of this whole thing is that it was the best possible chance Rangers ever had to win the football championship. There's literally no hurling in the way. The football was being played first. You could have still done your training and just focused primarily on the football for the few weeks beforehand. The hurling championship, they don't even have a game in the hurling championship this weekend. So they had to buy in the first round anyway, right? So there's going to be another couple of weeks after. I think there's no excuse whatsoever. I think they could have given a lot better. There was an element of looking like they were going through the motions a little bit. And I say this not because I deliberately want to be critical of them, but it's just disappointing, because it's like you always kind of want to see the underdog win. So I'll be straight about it. I'd like to see an underdog win when Rangers are playing hurling, because Rangers win the whole thing. But in football, I don't really mind winning as much because they are the underdog. But they infuriate you because they have so much potential. And this is what happened the other day. And if they had put a more honest effort into it, they could have got, I'm not saying they would have won the game. That game could have been a lot closer. Probably should have been a lot closer. But I don't think we'll ever see them win the senior championship as long as I'm around.
It's a difficult one. It's very easy for me to pontificate coming from an exclusive football club. When you're a dual club, you obviously have, you have a different experience of what's required. To be fair to them, the start of the game really well. Got 3 very, very good points early on, and they looked like they were going to take the game to Eire Og. But the reality is, while they are very competitive in football, they do lack, the technical ability of an Eire Og or Rathvilly. What makes them competitive is their huge character and their huge club spirit. It's not typical Rangers to go down that way. Let's be honest about it. They've always fought very hard in championship. It's a one-off. I would be very disappointed with the performance, but they've come so often and given everything and been pipped. They may have felt after that second goal that they like, here we go again, and the thing just drifted away at them then, So
but they've come so close and so often. And I'm going to use this now, and I apologise in advance, but I don't fuck all. Like, they've done no football and they still are so close. That's the thing about it. Like,
yeah, it's as I say to you, it's not the best 15 footballers ever win the All Ireland and win the county championship. It's the team that wants it the most. And that's what they always bring to the table, is that hunger, desire. They're a very, very competitive club. So
here's the question now. I'm just going to jump in, right? So if you look at the successful O'Loughlin teams from 2010, 2011, maybe 2013, grit, determination, and probably a few very good footballers, right? Probably
really, really good footballers.
Yeah,
not a few, but really good footballers.
Right. But what I'm trying to say is, right, in terms of natural ability and talent, are those two sides overly dissimilar in terms of Seamus Kinsley, Chris Nolan, right? Finishers, okay? Fiacre Fitzpatrick, ball carrier, provider. John Nolan can keep points as well. And then at the back, they're so rough and so tall and so solid, and they can win ball around the middle. If Rangers trained, I just see a lot of similarities between them and that O'Loughlin team back then. Maybe I'm completely wrong with this, but they had very good footballers. O'Loughlin, I should say more than a few. I will concede that. There was the very good footballers, but they had at least 4 or 5 lads that were just dogged, pure dogged, and played the game simple, I believe.
No, look, let's be honest. Yeah, you have to be very honest about it. Hurling is the #1 game in Rangers. Make no mistake about it. Like, that's their first love. It's their greatest strength. And obviously, that's what they want to win most of all. So their focus is naturally going to be on that. Like, you can't fault them for that. Let's not forget they won the Leinster Club title, like, it got to an Ireland final, like, so that's the kind of level you're talking about here. So that breeds, expectations and ambitions in the club to do it again. And you can't fault them for having that mindset that they're thinking ahead that the hurling championship, when to see this game going away from them. They're playing Eire Og, who were beating the Leinster Club final just narrowly, not that long ago. And psychologically, in your head, like, you're playing Eire Og, they are favourites. They're probably going to come through in this game. Even at their best, they're going to probably win this game.
Right, that's fair. I'll concede that as well. I think if they trained to their utmost, they probably still wouldn't have been out to their day. That's not this Eire Og team. So
it's difficult to do the two. I don't know how it works in successful clubs. There have been cases of clubs winning hurling and football championship. Michael obviously did it here as well, quite a while back now, but they did do it.
Did Eire Og win a championship the same year as Carlow won a hurling championship?
St Anne's did in Wexford in recent years. There are cases of it, obviously in Cork with some very good junior clubs as well. But look, it is what it is. It's Eire Og Rathvilly in the county final, and that's what we focus on.
So let's move on to it. And I'm going to have a load of fans of Rangers now for this. But anyway, I don't have them in O'Loughlin anyway. But look, I had to make that comparison. I really did, because I think there was a lot of similarities, but they focus a bit more. And anyway, let's move on and live in the real world and live in the here and now. So Sunday 6:30, Netwatch Cullen Park, 2020 Carlow Senior Football Final. A crowd of 500. I think it's a £150 to each club, and then 200 on general sale. But it is on Part TV for only £10, which is great value. And again, thanks to Part TV and John Nolan for letting us use the footage here during the podcast today. Little brief thing before I go into the game. I'd love to see these games continue to be streamed. I think it offers great value and great exposure on a worldwide scale.
Yeah, I think so. For anybody away, it's absolutely fantastic to tune into games. There's no question of it, and it's a great record for the games as well. It's nice to go back afterwards. Maybe you're at your own club game and you haven't been able to see the opposition player or whatever, and you want to go see it, and you can pay your €10 subscription. You can see it later on that evening. So it is a great service. There's no question of it. It's been a great thing. It's been a great thing for GA and for communities right through COVID that we had this. So yeah, look, it has potential to be kept on, and it certainly will help clubs with their analysis of preparing their own teams and looking at the opposition. So absolutely, there's a lot of positives about it. Right.
Let's break down this game then. So where is the won and lost? Like, what are we looking at? What matchups wise? What are we expecting? The mind games have started already. Joe Murphy reckons Rathvilly are favourites, for sure. Toby partial to the odd little, how will I put it? Little mind-boggling kind of a thing. I can't think of the bloody phrase. But anyway, we know the crack. All he's short there is a Eire. 2019 club final as underdogs, huh? So yeah, I don't know. I think this one is. I mentioned it already. I think it's going to be relatively close. I think possibly still Eire Og by maybe somewhere like 5 or 6 points. But do you agree, or where do you see one and lost?
I tell you, my head is not clear on this one at all, to be honest with you. On paper, Eire Og should win this game comfortably. Should. But the better panel of players, no question. I think the better starting 15. But I don't think they're playing particularly well. Whereas look at the Rathvilly team, I think there are a lot of lads there who are playing very well at the moment and are coming to form at the right time. They beat Eire Og in the league final, which will give them great confidence, and I think they've got some momentum out of what you saw last week. So it could be a lot tighter than people might think. I think it's going to come down to the middle third of the field again, and it's going to be very, very competitive around there. I'd say, Rathvilly have also, they've acquired a really good finisher in Kevin Murphy, which they needed, and he's a handful for anybody. Having said that, the Eire Og forward line potentially in they're all match winners on their day, it's going to come down, I think, to really in the middle third of the pitch who can dominate off kickouts in particular. I think it's only a huge part of the game is kickout strategies. And I think if you looked at the Rangers Eire Og game, I think Dimmerborn picked up nearly every kickout that came towards him in the middle of the field, uncontested, which is a worry. So Eire Og need to get their strategy right on the opposition kickout. I don't think they have. I think teams are getting away with kickout very easy against Eire Og. And primary possession, and Rathvilly are a good team with possession. They hold the ball very, very well. So, if they can work their kickouts, and Robbie is very smart in the goal. He's a really good, smart keeper with kickout. They could potentially turn the tables here in Eire Og. So the Eire Og strategy around kickouts to me hasn't been convincing so far. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't work. But there doesn't seem to be any great plan there around it, so maybe they'll have it right for county final.
Yeah, so is there any kind of similarities from the league final that we could see in terms of matchups and stuff? I wasn't at that league final. I can't really comment too much on it.
Eire Og looked to be close, to be honest with you, and let it slip. Rathvilly came in and definitely deserved to win the game, Alan Kelly did fine game. He scored 3 points off Sean Gannon that day, I think. So that's a great confidence booster for him. But young Josh Moore really impressed me the last against Paladin. I thought he had a super game at centre back. I thought he was really, really solid. Conor Doyle scored probably the point of the 2 games. Terrific point there. He ran forward, sidestepped his man, put the ball over the bar from the wrong side of the pitch. He thought it was a great score. He's a player, he needs a bit more confidence in himself. He really needs to believe in himself. He has all the natural abilities, so he has. But he's like a guy maybe in the shadow maybe of the older players and hasn't fully become the leader of the team yet. But he's going to be a great footballer for Rathvilly. Barry John had a great game. That was his best game in a long time. Actually Benny Cavan on the far side. Benny was superb for Eire Og. He was absolutely immense. His reading of the game is getting better and better every year. In the middle of the field, Brendan and Ed Finnegan are a formidable pairing. Ed Finnegan and Alan Kelly are 2 great servants out around the middle third for Rathvilly. They're dogged. They never give up. Never give up. They're going to be really, really up for this game. Eire Og will be struggling around the middle of the field. They don't see the combinations right. You need Gannon in midfield. You need him in the forward line. Owen he's a great workhorse as well. But it just hasn't really probably gone his way fully this year yet. But he one thing with him is he will work. He works his way into the game. The Aaron Murphy, this guy is some booting him. He put the ball over from 60 metres out, let's say 65 metres out off the ground, if he connects well, and he does. And, you have Brian Murphy then out there as well. So they're very competitive around the middle third. Eire Og should be as well, but there's a question mark over the conditioning of some of the Eire Og at the moment. Like, they are lacking a bit of pace there, and some of them are not the condition in last year. So, you know, hunger and appetite is a massive part of championship final games, and they really need to start again well, Eire Og, you know. I don't think they can afford to get off a slow start as they did against Rangers and allow Rathvilly to get ahead of them. And Rathvilly need that. Rathvilly need a good start. They do need a good start, I think.
Yeah, the last time they met in the final was 2017, and it took a Cork One's point to bring it to a replay, actually. And there's definitely no fear factor there whatsoever. And despite what lads would say out in Palatine, this is why I want Rathvilly there, because I just think there's some sort of psychological thing with Palatine Eire Og in the final in particular, and it's been proven in recent times. So on that basis, I think it's going to be a good final. Very much looking forward to it. I think we should see quality. Given the fact that they've been in the final this often, you know?
Both sides play football, you know. They're two good footballing sides, you know, and they like playing against each other and have good respect for each other, you know. So I think it'll be a good game of football. It should be very competitive. Still think Eire Og are the better side, and, you know, if they play to form, or play to potential, not to form, to potential, they should be good enough to win the game. Having said that, you know, Rathvilly have been knocking on the door now for quite a while now to get back on top, and, you know, for many of them now, this is probably the last chance to do it. And if they bring that fire and hunger into the game, and they come in free of injuries and knocks, you know, they'll be right in the mix. There's a young fella too, impressed me, is young Jake Elliott up front for them. Elusive. He's a tight little footballer. So some of the younger guys are playing well for him as well, like, you know. So look, it'll be an interesting contest. It's you know, weather could be a factor in this game as well. You know, the day has been a pretty bad day. Hopefully it won't conditions like today now. We'd like to see a good day for it in the middle of the summer. But for Eire Og, obviously, you know, the motivation should be, like, you know, there's an opportunity to win 2 championships this year, which would give them 5 in a row, quite honest with you. I know they're not probably thinking that way, but, you know, records do count, and it's a great opportunity to do it.
It is indeed. So Eire Og by how much?
4 points, 5 points.
Right, good stuff. Listen, great to catch up with you. Glad to see you're keeping well. You've all been saying you're a bit awake on as well. You know, you're cycling length of the country there. You're in fighting shape there now.
Something must have fell out of my pocket then. Anyway, I lost.
Listen, thanks for coming on. Really appreciate it. We want to say thanks to All Image as well, Renault and Dacia dealers, of course, for sponsoring this county final special. We'll chat to you again soon, Turlough. Thanks a million for joining us. All right.
Nice. See you. Bye bye.